إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, today we shall speak about a subject, the subject of Al-Hikma. Al-Hikma, wisdom in Islam. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says in the Quran, وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And whoever has been given Al-Hikmah, wisdom, has been given an enormous amount, a great deal, enormous amount. And the hikmah, unfortunately, is something which the Ummah of Islam is not concerned with, or they don't understand this. They don't implement this in their daily lives. Everything to many Muslims these days is either black or it's white. There's nothing in between, there's no color to it, there's no wisdom to implement in their lives from Islam. Whereas when we look into the Quran and the Hadith, the life of the Sahaba, the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is full of wisdom in different places applied. And this is what we are supposed to learn from Islam, so that we become better Muslims, better husbands, better fathers, better sons, better brothers, better wives and sisters, better individuals of a Muslim community, better followers of leaders with wisdom. First and foremost, what is Al-Hikmah? Al-Hikmah is the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is Al-Hikmah. So whatever we discuss today of Al-Hikmah, wisdom, know that it is from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rasulullah al-Nabiyyu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was illiterate. He could not write. He was illiterate. He was unable, he was not a poet neither. Yet Allah Jalla wa Ala gave him the Quran, full of wisdom. Gave him the Sunnah. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He doesn't speak of his own desires. He speaks revelation that's been revealed to him regarding the Sunnah. So Sunnah is ultimately from Allah as well. And Allah is the most wise, full of hikmah. So He gave to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam so much wisdom, so much hikmah, that we cannot even fathom to understand the amount of wisdom that was descended upon the shoulders of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So hikmah is the Sunnah, and the Sunnah is a hikmah. Let us now understand hikmah. The ulama, they divided it into two categories. The first category is hikmah al-ilmiyah, and the second category is al-hikmah amaliyah. Let us discuss al-hikmah ilmiyah. What is this? Hikmah of knowledge. Hikmah of knowledge. Now what knowledge are we concerned with? Islam, Sharia. So hikmah from the Quran and the Sunnah. Hikmah ilmiya is where you place the correct ruling in its correct place. When you derive knowledge from the Quran and the Sunnah correctly and you apply it correctly. So, we do not extract from the Quran and the Sunnah shirk, encouragement to do shirk. Rather, we extract from the Quran and the Sunnah prohibitions of shirk. This is hikmah of knowledge. We do not extract from the Quran and the Sunnah innovation, bid'ah. Rather, we extract from the Quran and the Sunnah warnings against the innovations. We extract from the Quran and the Sunnah the understanding of innovation. What is innovation? What does it mean? All its rules, its regulations, its conditions. And the same with shirk. We extract from the Quran correctly that which is shirk, that which is not shirk, the different types, the dangers, and so on and so forth. Hikmah is attaining the correct knowledge from the correct source and applying it correctly. This is hikmah ilmiya. Let me give you an example of how Muslims, how they extract sometimes hikmah ilmiya correctly, but when they apply it in hikmah amaliya, they apply it incorrectly. And vice versa. They apply it correctly, but they extract the ilmiya incorrectly. So they take hikmah ilmiya, wisdom of knowledge correctly, but the hikmah amaliya, the application of it, they apply it incorrectly. And the other way around. Where they take from the source the hikmah ilmiya is incorrect. They take from the Quran and the Sunnah incorrectly, but they apply it as the Rasulullah would have applied it. So one example. An individual was praying next to another person. And you know, in some parts of the world they have a habit of when you give taslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, they turn to the right and they shake the person's hand on the right, they turn to the left and then shake the person's hand on the left. Mainly in Africa we find this. But even in Pakistan and other parts of the world. Now this action, though they're being good by this, love, brotherhood and so on and so forth, there is no basis for this action in the Quran or the Sunnah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not do this action. The Sahaba never done this. So, the knowledge here, the hikmah of knowledge here was incorrect. Why? Because it has no basis in the Quran, it has no basis in the Sunnah. It's not from there. And so the person was sitting next to him, and when he got this hand reached over for a salam, he slapped the hand. He said, "Take this away from me. What is this innovation you asked me to do?" So you can see here now, this person who said, slapped the hand and said, "This is an innovation, what is this you are asking me to do?" His knowledge, hikmah ilmiya, was correct. But the hikmah amaliya was far from correct. The other person said to him, okay, fine. It may not be from the Rasulullah, this is not from the Sunnah. Okay, fine, it's not from the Sunnah. He's slapping my hand from the Sunnah. He's shouting at me from the Sunnah. He's speaking ill to me, down to me from the Sunnah. So both of them were incorrect. The hikmah ilmiya, knowledge was incorrect with the one who wanted to give the salam. The hikmah ilmiya was correct with the one who refused it. But the hikmah of action for the one who slapped his hand was incorrect. And the hikmah of being kind and following brotherhood and love was correct with the one who didn't have the knowledge. Can you see, my brothers, the difference between hikmah ilmiya and hikmah amaliya? This is the life we are living in today. We stand up to pray, go to some masajid. And some people, the Rasulullah said, "Hadu bayn al-manaqib wal abdan." Come together with your shoulders and your abdan, your feet. And then one narration from in Sahih Bukhari from Nu'man ibn Bashir, he said, after Rasulullah said this, I saw the companions placing the ankles together, knees together, feet together, shoulders together, like they were stuck together. That's how we understood it. But some masajid you go to, you try to go near them, they run away. They run away from you. Come away from me, don't come near me. You try to get them closer, they go away from you. Go a bit closer, they go away from you. So what do? You just put one leg over here, one leg over there, like doing splits. This is what some people are seen doing. Where is the hikmah? Where is the wisdom? Because even when he doesn't sleep, the spits, the people on the side still run away from him. So imagine how that looks. The hikmah ilmiyah he has. But does that person have the hikmah of the amaliyah, the action, implementing? So where do we get the source? Where do we get this knowledge of wisdom from? Or how to apply and how to extract the knowledge correctly? We get it from the ulama, the scholars. Now you ask yourselves this question. Don't ask me. Don't even answer. Rhetoric question. When the ulama come to this masjid, how many people attend? Very few. In comparison to the numbers we see in Jummah, is not even a third of what we see here in Jummah attend the classes of the scholars, the students of knowledge that come here. So by default now, can you see how much lack of wisdom that we will have in this community in Bedford? Massive lack of wisdom. And when you have a lack of wisdom, what does that cause? Division, hatred, dislike, enmity, all the bad things that will come forth in the community. Until we understand the source, where is the source of our hikmah and wisdom, and until we go there and we implement this and learn this from ourselves and implement it in our lives and sacrifice for this, then the community will thrive and become better. Love and brotherhood and unity and less differing and less ikhtilaf and no disunity. All this will go away. Because why? Al-hikmah is in the sunnah, and sunnah is the hikmah. And what you learn from the scholars accept the Quran and the sunnah. So this is how important it is, my brothers. Even the amount of phone calls I get in my office, people ringing me randomly, wives ringing me complaining about their husbands, husbands ringing me complaining about their wives. This issue, that issue, divorce, Falaah. And when I go to the root cause and I ask what's happened, you see the person, either the husband is in the wrong or the wife is in the wrong. And when they're in the wrong, they say, oh, we didn't know that. I said, you have to make an effort to learn your knowledge so you do not do these things to one another. So you have hikmah, you have wisdom, and you're able to apply it in your lives with one another. And by that you save your marriage, you save your children, you save a community. But unfortunately the disease that this ummah has, which has befallen us, is this love of ignorance. We love to remain ignorant. You know why? One of two reasons. So we can busy ourselves with the dunya, because that's what you're doing. If you're not knowing your religion, you're busy yourself with the dunya. Or another thing, they choose to remain ignorant so they can say, oh, I didn't know. They enjoy making mistakes and harming one another and oppressing one another. I didn't know. Unfortunately, this is what I find from my experiences. Al-hikmah is from knowledge of Islam. Hikmah ilmiyah and hikmah al-amaliyah. Now, inshallah, in the second half of the khutbah, I'll give you maybe 3 examples. An example from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. An example from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Example from al-Khattab. If I get time, we'll do an example from the time of Ali radiallahu anhu. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم أما بعد. An example of how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam implemented al-hikmah, wisdom. Wisdom which the Sahaba, none of them, not one of them could fathom, could understand, could realize the wisdom behind this particular action and reason for his ruling. During the time of Sulh Hudaybiyah, you know the Sulh Hudaybiyah? The agreement between the Quraysh and the Muslims of Medina. It's called Sulh Hudaybiyah. Why? Because it took place in an area called Al-Hudaybiyah, which is on the outskirts of Mecca. The Sahaba, the Prophet promised them that they will go back after being extradited, removed from Mecca, from their homes, and will go back and will make Umrah. The time came and they marched. They marched with their swords, just in case it was going to kick off, with a huge, massive army to Al-Hudaybiyah. Al-Hudaybiyah is on the outskirts. When the Quraysh heard that Rasulullah is coming with his companions to perform Umrah, they went to meet them in Hudaybiyah. And they said, look, don't do your Umrah this year, do it next year. We'll allow you next year. Go back. And by this time the numbers of Muslims are huge in Medina. Huge. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they sent Abu Suhail to come and make an agreement with him. So they agreed on an agreement. The agreement was as follows. Number one, any Muslim, number one is you do your Umrah next year, not this year. Tick box. Number two, any Muslim that tries to leave, or escape from Mecca and comes to Medina, you have to return them to us. They're not allowed to stay there. Why? Because they didn't want the Muslim numbers to increase. Number two, any Quraysh that comes to Medina and wants to go back to Mecca, you leave them to go back to Mecca. What kind of an agreement was this? Said the Sahaba. Number three, you remove your name, your title, Rasulullah, and the agreement. You write Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam agreed to all three of these conditions. He removed his name, and the Sahaba were angry. How can you remove your title? He removed his title Rasulullah for this agreement. What a massive thing that is. Number two, he agreed that any Muslim who's being tortured, who's being imprisoned, who's being harmed, starved in Mecca, if they come to Medina, he'll send them right back. He said, what is this? Our relatives are there. Many people are there who want to come. But he agreed to this. And any Quraysh that comes to Medina, we let him go back. He comes free, he goes back free. What on earth could be the wisdom behind agreeing to this? And then Rasulullah signed it for 10 years. For 10 years this agreement. Not 1 year, not 3 years, not 5 years, but 10 years. The shock that spread amongst the Sahaba when they heard Rasulullah was signing this agreement was massive. So much that Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he came to Rasulullah, raised his voice in front of Rasulullah and said, are you not the messenger of Allah? He said, no, yes, I am the messenger of Allah. Are we not upon the religion of Haqq, Islam, the true religion of God? Indeed, we are upon the religion of Islam. Then why are you agreeing to this? Why are we belittling ourselves to these people when we have the power and we have the ability to fight them and beat them? This is a command from Allah, from the heavens above. And so he signed the agreement. He said, Ya Rasulullah, you're removing your name. The shock that was there. What was the wisdom, my brothers? What was the wisdom that came forth, which the Sahaba learned later, and they didn't know then? Ibn Qadir rahimahullah, he writes that the numbers of those that accepted Islam in those 10 years was 100 times the amount of Sahaba they had when they signed that agreement. SubhanAllah. What does that tell you? It tells you the goal of Hikma. The goal of Hikma is to spread Islam. The goal of Hikma is to make people love Islam. The goal of Hikmah is to connect the people with Allah. The goal of Hikmah is to connect the people with Rasulullah. The goal of the Hikmah wisdom is all about, not about killing, not about fighting, not about spilling blood. It's not about, gaining money, gaining wealth, power, economy, authority, political position and leadership. No. Hikmah is about ultimately spreading the message of Islam and the people accepting it. So he said 100 times more people embraced Islam than were there in Sulh Hudaybiyah. Now what better, greater hikmah can you get than that? So we have to learn, my brothers, what hikmah is and how to implement hikmah. Even the Sahaba didn't understand. An example now, in the time of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. I'll give you 2 examples from his life. The first example, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he died. When he died, everybody was in shock. How can Rasulullah, the Messenger of Allah, die? How can the revelation stop? There was so much panic and everybody gathered around his house, around the Masjid al-Nabawi. Umar ibn Khattab, when he heard the news, he raised his sword out of the sheath and he said, come on, tell me that Rasulullah has died. Anybody that says he has died, I will take off his head. People said, Started to keep their distance from Umar. When they saw Umar, they go the other way. They didn't go near him. They were afraid, because Umar was a person. When he says something, he does it. He refused to accept that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was dead. He said he's not well, he was going to wake up. He's going to wake up. He's there, lying there. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was there. And he came to the masjid. He stood on the pulpit and he quoted an ayah in the Quran where Allah Jalla wa Ala, he said, and Umar is there amongst all the companions listening with his sword in his hand. He said, verily the messenger, verily Muhammad is a messenger. Ayah in the Quran. If he was to die or he was to be killed, would you then turn your backs on the religion? When Umar heard that, his knees collapsed and he fell on the floor, fainted. The Sahaba, they said, it was like this, what we heard, this ayah, we knew this ayah very, very well, but it was like the first time we ever heard this. What a reminder. Can you see the mindset they were all in, the shock that they forgot that ayah? And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, from his hikmah, his wisdom, Allah gave him, he then recited it to the people, which even caused the Umar al-Khattab, the great man he was, the strong man he was, to collapse on the floor when he heard that ayah. Collapse. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah gives the hikmah, the wisdom, to whomever He wants. It's not for everybody. He gave it to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He didn't give it to Umar al-Khattab. He gave it to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He didn't give it to the rest of the Sahaba. But by that, they all then realized, and they gave the bay'ah to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and Islam spread further. See the wisdom? Can you understand the hikmah? Where was the hikmah? In the Quran. Where was the hikmah? In the Sunnah. This is why I said to you, al-hikmah is Sunnah, and the Sunnah is al-hikmah. And the source of hikmah is where? In the Quran, in the Sunnah. Another example of, in the time of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, is when the people gathered to fight. When the people gathered, after the Rasulullah passed away, and they said, and Abu Bakr is the Khalifa now, they said, we're not going to pay the zakat. We're not going to pay the zakat to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. We used to pay to Rasulullah, now he's dead, no more zakat. This was, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, he stood to the people and he said, whoever disassociates or separates zakat from salat, then I will fight them. Umar al-Khattab said, are you going to fight and spill the blood of those who say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah? You know the hadith of Rasulullah? That whoever says La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, their blood is saved from me from stealing, their wealth is saved from me from taking, their honor is saved as well from me from speaking about. This is the hadith of Rasulullah. So Umar said to him, you're going to kill these people, you're going to spill their blood, and they say La ilaha illallah? Abu Bakr said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, whoever differentiates between salat and zakat and separate it, I will fight them, I will spill their blood until they pay me the zakat. What was the wisdom? And Abu Bakr was the softest out of all of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, but look how firm he was there. What was the wisdom that came from this? Subhanallah, if only we could read our history and understand. At that time, this idea of not paying the zakat came from who? It came from the mushrikeen, asl, from the yahud, the hypocrites. Those that had diseases in the heart who wanted to destroy Islam from within. That's where the source of this fitna came from. Abu Bakr could see this, but Umar couldn't see this. And then the juhal, the ignorant ones who didn't understand Islam just latched onto it, thinking that they're right, Rasulullah is dead, so why should we give it? Then the greedy latch onto it as well. The greedy are Muslims. The ignorant ones are Muslims, not apostates. But they went under the umbrella of the apostates, the murtadeen. Those that apostate from the religion by saying we're not going to pay the zakat. A massive army came. Musaylim al-Qadir, the one who said he was a prophet after Rasulullah. Even he joined them. Many other false prophets who claimed prophet joined them. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, with his firm determination, he gathered the Sahaba and they fought them and they wiped them out. What did he do from his wisdom? He preserved Islam for you and me today. Subhanallah. For generations to come, zakat is being paid. The poor are being fed. The needy are being fed. Whereas was he to say, you know, you're right, we shouldn't fight those who say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah? We shouldn't do that. If he gave in to Umar, where would zakat be today? Where would the poor be today? Where would the needy be today? But Allah yu'ti al-hikmah man yasha. Allah gives the hikmah to whoever He wants. وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And whoever was given this wisdom, this hikmah, is given a great, great deal. So you can see how Abu Bakr Siddiq was given a great deal. You saw how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given a great deal in the time of Umar. Umar ibn al-Khattab, perhaps we saw in the next khutbah, will explain to you the hikmah of Umar, will explain to you the hikmah of Uthman, will explain to you the hikmah of Ali, and the 10 promised paradise, and the Sahaba. The Islam, my brothers, is full of hikmah. We have to learn this. It's just as much as we learn our religion. And we can't learn this except by learning about the Quran and the Sunnah from the scholars of Islam. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين وأقيموا الصلاة.